It's the Redirect Podcast. Search industry research, discussion, and analysis from the Black Truck Media and Marketing Headquarters. And now, redirecting you to the Black Truck team.
Welcome to episode 37 of the Redirect Podcast. It is Friday, March 9th, 2018. I'm Jason Dodge, founder of Black Truck Media and Marketing. Welcome this week by a great team here. Patrick, Ashley, and Adrian, all from the Black Truck team. Welcome, gang.
Hey.
Some would argue maybe the greatest team.
Well,
Truly.
I am biased, so I can't really...
Was it Jason that made the argument?
I think I'm going to make the argument now, so I would be the sum.
Quick, tweet that out. All right, well, I think we've got a lot of great topics to cover this week. We covered some awesome stuff. Actually, Pat and I did last episode. We talked a lot about attribution and some big changes coming, as always, in the Google landscape. So I'm going to continue on that theme with some kind of industry trends and buzz that's happening. I'm picking up on more things that came out of PubCon, which happened like toward the latter part of February. The biggest one was a statement made by Google's Gary Illies on the question of, does the order and placement and position of your content matter to Google? And this is on your site. This kind of as a note to point out, this has nothing to do with where your content is at in your HTML. It's more about just the actual order and placement of how it's
site structure or
a little bit, and more importantly, how does it affect mobile rankings? And so what Gary has said is that he kind of officially confirmed it, that the mobile rankings of your site can totally be dependent on the order of the content on your site as well as how it's positioned in the page. So I think to your point, Pat, how how do you have things laid out is important. That has nothing to do with HTML per se,
right.
But more importantly, if you were to picture it in a mobile environment, how do things scale and how do things push together? So we'll make sure we link to a couple other articles. But I had learned more about it from following things on Twitter, and then also David Bain from SEMrush or SEMrush. Had a whole follow-up of things that came out of PubCon. It's a really great overview, but he linked over to an article of conversation that was happening from Gary and PubCon.
So the question I ask a client often when they have a popular page that dominates a lot of traffic, and I say, so how do you navigate to this page? And they can't answer. That's a relevant question?
I think Google's able to see the content is at the top and what's at the bottom. So regardless of how it is in the HTML, CSS layout, it's probably not new to a lot of people, but it just reinforces the fact of let's get that most important content up to the top. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there has to be anything necessarily scientific about it.
Right.
You could easily play the usability side of it.
So less about navigation and more about page structure. Yeah.
Okay. Page structure not as it relates to HTML. Right. Which can get confusing.
And that reminds me of the conversations that we've had before about the inverted pyramid structure too. Having your most important information at the top of the page basically, and then supplemental kind of.
Which I think becomes even more important in a mobile world because of scrolling and because I don't have that much time is perceived. But
Except what about journalism in this space? Because what you described, Ashley, is how PR delivers information to news structure, but how news structure writes is storytelling, right? They
True.
don't front load everything in the first paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
It's building a story to keep you engaged and involved.
So I think journalism is going to be a little bit different in the sense that news sites especially are, in the eyes of Google and search, are viewed quite differently than that of a commercial, what we deem as a commercial site.
Because they do summarize the story at the top. There's usually bullets or a different type of text font at the top of every story that summarizes the entire story before it gets into the meat of the story.
Right, but how how journalists tell stories. It's
Right,
not
no,
to
yeah.
front load it
I understand
in
that.
a space, and not like, I'm guessing, like if we can call Newsweek a news source, I don't know if we can anymore, but like a Newsweek or a Wall Street Journal or whatever have figured out, like, because they're like a super structured and a large organization. But if you look at like, let's take a local example, for instance, who we shall not name, but if you perhaps look at that page,
Yeah.
it's going to be structured a lot different. So I think the more sophisticated the organization, the better prepared they are for this kind of thing. But some
Absolutely.
of the less
It just.
sophisticated
Oh no.
brands,
100%.
news brands are not doing that.
No, and it's really looking at if you have your content organized in one fashion, desktop, and then you reorg that going to a mobile environment, really pay close attention to how your content shifts around and making sure that you place that most important content toward the top.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're only going to scroll so far, right?
Yep.
In
Right.
both contexts.
So I think the question, I haven't dug into it enough to know, and I don't think anybody has yet, is that stemming from user interaction with the content? Like basically has nothing to do with Google indexing and crawling it, right? They're going to get through that content.
Right.
It has everything to do with the user in a mobile index clicks on the link, goes to the page, finds the relevant content, the content that is most important to them. Maybe that's the meat of the content, Pat, to your point, up front.
So now we're a too long didn't read society.
Oh, I think we've been that way for a long time. Come on.
Yeah, what is our attention span?
I
4.8
mean-
seconds?
No,
I feel like there's a lot-
no. Goldfish is 3 seconds. We're less than that.
I feel like it depends probably on the industry and like what you're actually reading or whatever, but I
With the
think
intent.
that, and how you're going to use it, I mean, you're not going to spend, I don't know. I just think that sometimes when we look at like, I don't know, if you look at like time on page, sometimes you view that as a success indicator, but is it?
You look at your market too. I mean, the outlet you're referring to, the local, I know what you're talking about, and I agree, it's borderline unusable. You compare it to like a Huffington Post that's almost unusable in the way their site works, and once you click into an article. But then you look at Washington Post, New York Times, their webpage almost looks like a newspaper, and it works like a newspaper, and it's not, it doesn't deter you. But they've designed that based on their audience. The local brand and the HuffPost, they work on almost like a clickbait model.
Definitely.
Whereas the other two sites are journalistic approach.
Yeah, and it's what you're going there for, right? I mean, I don't expect to go to HuffPost and get Wall Street Journal or New York Mag or whatever type of environment. Like it's a different environment, so it's a different animal. But
Right.
for sure.
When I think if you
Google
want
doesn't like know that, like they don't
They do.
necessarily know that really.
I think they do.
Right?
I think they do.
They know everything.
I think they
know
do.
They know everything.
There's actually
They're listening right now.
there's an email in the inbox now telling you how they know.
They're gonna target.
I know, which
You're gonna get ads later.
no, I already know that. I mean, my Google Home, I am not using it enough, and it sends me an email and tells me that I'm not using it enough, and now I'm scared.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
It just wants to be heard.
So I think to add on this journalism thing, I'm gonna totally steal a second spot here, is because it's super relevant. Is that a super recent announcement, like last night, I think it was, Google stated that they're gonna bring techniques and benefits of accelerated mobile pages, so AMP, very highly used for news journalistic
AMP was built
sources.
for news.
Right, correct. Because it powers what is known as the top story carousel right now. They're talking about bringing those standards into open web standards, meaning no more AMP. Bake this into your code, much like a lot of the structured data is that we've been talking about, to better support instant loading content. So much of these types of pieces of content can be found in Google search in those top story carousels. I'm taking a quote directly from Barry Schwartz from SEO Roundtable, but if you were working on making AMP versions of your website pages, maybe you might be able to hold off and see how that goes. Now, if you're already down that process, maybe you continue on it because, open web standards take a while to roll out. But at the same time, I think that the question that comes up is, okay, why would Google go this route instead of AMP, which is what they created? From my perspective, they're tired of keeping up with it. There's a lot of questions that come up about AMP, its value, its power, how do we manage it, how do we track it? If Google's going forward in a mobile first index, why create another channel, another piece of content, another thing that they have to manage when if they can pull that content and serve it up on Google as they do, like they do with AMP, why not just bake that into a site now? Why even have to manage something separate?
Yeah.
Does it have any? Well, how do I word this question? Will that play a schema at all?
Well, I think it goes into structured data much like schema markup would. If we're saying this is a tourist attraction and these are the key points of interest, or it's a sports team and these are the players. It's similar to that. I would say that I would think it would be similar to that in a structured data type environment. Maybe they're going to pull from structured data sets. I don't know, but that would be a nicety. So it would kind of come full circle with the journalism side of it too. Especially with news sources, their goal certainly is to not send you off site. If they can serve that content up in Google News, they sure as hell are not going to deliver you to the actual news source. So how those sites start to monetize even more is I think that's super, super volatile. I'll leave you with that.
So I'm gonna switch gears to something a little bit more fun.
What was that? That was like
It's morbid.
depressing.
I'm kidding.
Conversation is really subtle.
So I stumbled upon something from Mashable.
Whoa!
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Speaking
Well,
of quality journalism,
That's incredible.
Science!
Yeah. No offense, Mashable. But it was a picture of Mario, and I was like, what is going on? And
Like Mario and Luigi,
it
or
was
Mario
Kart,
Batali?
like Mario
Okay.
Kart. Yeah, sorry, not Batali.
Not
I didn't know
Mario
if Mario
Batali.
and
Okay.
Luigi had
I think we've
skeletons in
already
their
talked
closet
about
too.
him.
Yeah, so apparently tomorrow is Mario Day.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, and so starting tomorrow, Google Maps, the app, if you have it updated, the arrow is being replaced by Mario in a Mario Kart.
Fun.
Yeah, so when you use navigation, you're going to get the little Mario guy going all over. And that got me thinking. It just reminded me of a conversation that I have at least twice a month with my wife. And it's search within Maps, don't search within search. When she's looking for something. And she...
Like on a local level.
Or any level. Yeah, like if you're looking for information of where is or what is or how do I kind of thing, it's amazing how frequently the answer can be found if you just do it in Maps. It works like a search bar the same way a search bar does in the Google app. So I often say just search within Google and within the Maps app, and you'll get there a lot quicker. You'll get your answer.
No, you're an iOS, you're an Apple
Correct.
iPhone user. So when you say Maps, do you use the native or are you a Google map?
No, it's a Google product. It's
Okay,
definitely
okay.
it's the Apple Maps is not there, and they're light years behind. We'll talk about that in 12 years when they're a little bit more up to speed on their maps. No, Google Maps. So I did a little bit of reading on what might be some benefits or ways to get those top search results in the Google Maps the same way you would in Google Search. Okay, and so I did a couple of tests. We're in Grand Rapids here, and a couple towns over is a hunting store that I frequent for outdoor and camping gears and things like that. So I searched hunting store Granville, and I got back 2 results: Cabela's and Dunham's. Dunham's is a Michigan brand, and Cabela's was the one I was looking for. There was only 2 results on the list. And then I tested again. Our office here is in Grand Rapids, and I removed the Granville from the search and got back a whole list of about probably 6 or 7 different hunting and sporting goods stores. And the very first 2 were Cabela's. The first Cabela's one was an ad. The second one was Cabela's Organic.
Can you clarify, were you on your phone or desktop?
Sorry, I was on my phone.
Okay.
I took screenshots, so we'll share those.
Okay.
So yes, this is all going from my mobile device. So then I got thinking, what does it take to get to the top of the page? Because I had a client of ours call who has 5 locations in the greater Grand Rapids area, and she wanted to know how she can get higher on that, and similar conversation. I stumbled upon some best practices, and it all stems back to Google My Business. Ashley, I know that you that's near and dear to your heart. You play in that space quite a bit, and it goes so much further than just reviews. An article I read from WordStream, just a good source of data, it was funny. They showed a bunch of dentists in Hollywood. Because you got to have those pearly whites. It showed a small area.
It's a lot of veneers.
Yeah, exactly. It showed a couple of block service area where there was tons of dots all over the maps for dentists. But in the sidebar, it showed the listing results, and a guy who had a better 5-star rating and more reviews was in second place over someone who had less stars and less reviews. And they dug into it, and it's because it wasn't just that. There was more elements in it besides just that. A couple of those tips, and obviously this comes from the Google My Business. The biggest one that I thought was pretty great was make your Google My Business address exactly verbatim to what the approved USPS address is, including the 4-digit extension on the zip code. Yeah, so then there's no question whatsoever. Obviously verify your location. That's kind of a no-brainer, even though you don't really want to get a postcard in the mail.
There's other ways to do it.
There's other ways.
But if you're an agency helping a client, then that can get
or
pretty convoluted.
Multiple locations, or you have 7 warehouses that don't have physical offices.
Oh yeah, that can be an issue.
Or mailboxes. Specify service areas. Obviously, that's only relevant to a service-based company that does areas, like something like us with Black Truck. We can really service any kind of location, so that wouldn't be as relevant to us. Multiple categories. Use as many categories as you can.
What are you limited to? Are you limited to 5?
Last I checked,
More?
yes.
Okay.
It was 5.
Yeah, if there's 5 that you can find that are close, use them.
That can be hard to narrow down too. So
It can.
decide if you have multiple locations, especially if there are certain specialties that certain locations specialize in. Make sure that you're using those for those specific locations.
And the pro hack there is to make sure that you list I would say the most closely aligned service with your business. Like you may have some that are gray areas. You're like, we do that, but not really. Make sure you have those that are closely aligned to you first up front. Yeah. I've not dug into this. Actually, you could probably speak on this better. But there's an introduction that you can put on your Google My Business listing. It's look like a paragraph. I didn't check to see if there was a character count limit to it. It's different than a description.
Yeah. It's an introduction, and you can put your keywords in that and make it relevant. It's almost like a page description of what it looked like. If you would write it the same way you'd write the new and improved 320 character introduction or page description to get the relevant stuff in there up front. Another one too is include photos. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. Oftentimes overlooked, even though it is a no-brainer. And optimize them for web. This gave an interesting tip that I often will speak about the benefits of optimizing images for your web page, but this one was interesting. It said, have somebody get into the meta description, to the code of the file, and incorporate your address, your latitude and longitude, like an iPhone photo automatically has the lat long embedded in the file. Do the same thing, so it helps with just your image search too. And in the alt tags that are hard coded, not into the field on the screen when you can put it, but upload it already hard coded into the back end. Alt tags and categories and various things.
Can you do that in Photoshop? I mean, as a former photographer,
you can.
In one life, can you do that?
I know that it's a possibility, and it might even be in Adobe. I think there's different ways you can do that, but there is an Adobe product. In Acrobat Reader, Adobe Acrobat Reader, you can adjust meta descriptions there. But I know you can definitely do it, and that's the way, the preferred way to do it. But if you can get in there and edit that metadata, it's just another tool that you can use and help with that image search. That would also work in organic search as well, regular Google search. And then the last thing I want to talk about, and I'm just going to touch on these because I think I could turn this into a blog post or a whole other separate episode, is paid ads in maps.
Oh yeah.
There's now 4 different new ways. Google made mention of it in mid 2017, and I believe they all started rolling out in late 2017. And I really want to start playing with it. I'm going to see if there's a way that I can incorporate it with some of our existing. But you can do promoted pins, whereas in the example that was given on your map, it was a pin of the Best Buy logo. It wasn't the traditional red button. It was the logo of the business. So that's one way to do it, and that'll coincide with the ad that will show up in the left sidebar if it's desktop, or down below in mobile. So these promoted listings is both mobile and desktop. Another one is in-store promotions. I don't have the details on a lot of these yet, but in-store promotions is one. It's kind of I think it might work the same way you have seen in Instagram. Your product, like if you're touting like a clothing line or something, you can tag the product the same way you can tag a person. I think within the in-store promotions, you can tag a sale.
Okay.
Another one is local inventory search. So that will show you if it's available nearby. And customizable business pages. So if you have a specific page that would coincide with the search, not just the brand, and not just, let's say in the example of Best Buy, if you wanted to do like Best Buy Samsung television sale, something like that, you could do like the Samsung television page. So it's definitely something that needs further review. It's definitely another tool to use in that local game. So if you have a budget for PPC that you're using, and you have a local element where you're selling a product or something that has competitors in the area, it's definitely another way to get in there and play.
I think it's a really valid point on the local paid landscape like that, because I wasn't going to crush your initial point, but the reason I wanted to clarify on the desktop versus mobile is because, especially if you're using mobile, you're using maps on a regular basis. Whether or not you navigated to, in this case it was Cabela's that you mentioned before, whether or not you navigated to that store or to that location, you have your phone on you. And in most cases, the geo-tracking is on. So it knows you've been there. It knows you've been in that area. In this case, it knows that you prefer that location, actually.
But I've never been to that Dunham's, and it gave me that as number 2.
Right, correct. It gave you that as the number 2. So in the growing concern for personalized search, because we all, most mobile searches are very personalized because you're a logged in user. So in that case, you've been to Cabela's. They probably somewhere along the way have been able to track your shopping behavior and things like that, right? Like Cabela's is probably going to be your preferred location that's going to come up. So if you do have a budget to be able to pay to play, you might actually be a smaller facility and be able to get in that game, if you will, to your point, and get above these big national players.
To get past your point, in between that Dunham's and Cabela's is a Dick's Sporting Goods, and Dick's didn't show up anywhere in the results.
Wow.
And I've been to that Dick's. So that's an interesting concept too, that I didn't even think about until you said that. I forgot about Dick's, because you mentioned my service area where I go. I shop that area all the time, and I'm an outdoorsman. I'm a sporting goods kind of guy. I'm a hunting, fishing kind of guy, and that's one of the big things that Dick's Sporting Goods touts, and it didn't even get served up on my phone.
Better get on that. That's good. Good stuff, for sure. All right. We gotta move on.
I want you to remember all the way back to January of 2017 for a sec.
Whoa.
Wow.
When Facebook changed.
Not Facebook again.
Just calm yourself. When Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg specifically, decided to coin their new sort of business model and how they would feed you information as video first, right? And so I also want to feed you that YouTube processes over 3 billion searches a month. It's the number 2, as we know, search engine behind Google. But it is bigger than Bing, Yahoo, AOL, and pretty much everything else combined. So it's important, to say the least, right? And then recent HubSpot article and survey said, 43% of consumers want more video content. 51.9% of Marcom pros finally see the value in video. I mean, it's been coming for a while here, but now we get it. And then 48% of marketers are integrating YouTube specifically, with another 46% of them integrating Facebook video, including live, into that. So it's no surprise that video is important, right? Which leads me to my question instead of another statement, which is, what are your tips for optimization of video for search for views?
Man. I mean, from my perspective, in a number of years of doing both, like, on page and off page SEO, especially when it comes to video, a lot of similar principles work as you might optimize for on page. Meaning, if each video could be viewed as a page, you could approach it similarly, right? In terms of keyword themes per the relevancy of the topic of whatever you're discussing. Good page title would be a good title of whatever the video. Same thing for the description. How many YouTube videos are out there with they have horrible
file
descriptions?
format. The file format name.
DSC underscore 45.
Yeah, and odds are I've watched it too.
Yeah, right.
So I think really great descriptions being placed in there too are super helpful.
I would say optimize it the same way you would a Google My Business page, or like Jason said, a sub page on a site. There's you've got your page title, you've got your profile altogether. So Adrian's Facebook channel, you would go and optimize the introduction page. You would optimize your banner image. You would make sure you've got a link back to your website and contact information. And then you go to your video. You can add logos to it. You can add a proper optimized title. You can customize your URL to have your brand in the URL in your channel. You can have a description. I think you're offered up to 2 links
You get
too in the description.
the item, they call it, so there's 2 boxes basically. So there's item, it's like a blue box, and that's 75 characters or something. But then there's description, which you can put whatever you want to in there. And that can be mixes of links, like you were saying, plus words and other types of, if you were using a product, you can, have backlinks to that or whatever. So there's all these different ways that you can use that, but I guess how, right? So I mean, it makes sense, we do this, right? So optimize it. So maybe pull that back a sec and give me something, what tool might you use? Or is there something free out there that your everyday Joe can use? And I know we're not a how-to channel, but I think that there is a particular aspect of what we do that is kind of how-to. So
Totally.
where would you grab something like that? Or how could we give an everyday Joe?
Well, it's universal search anyways, right?
Yep.
So, trust your gut. Go and do it. If you develop a video, maybe you develop a video series of how-tos or what is, go and do a search yourself and see what comes up. See what you're going to get, a mix of videos, you're going to get a mix of images, and then more static content, and see what comes up. See how people are wording things. See how they're describing the content it is. Odds are some of it's going to be good, some of it's going to be horrible. Is there a combination of those phrases that you can dominate? Obviously, there's free keyword research tools out there that totally play into this. Google updated the keyword tool recently, Keyword Planner. Keyword.io is a great free one to go and do some searches. I think if you want to dominate in a YouTube world, it's very much the DIYer. It's very much the how-to, what is, where is. It's the question. The more technical it is, I think the better off that you're going to be able to optimize. Blatantly put what that question is as the title of your video, and even more so to increase the likelihood that somebody's going to click on it. In your description, or if you can work it into the title, how do I change, front axle change on, 2002 something. in 10 minutes or less, right? Like, actually give them a timeline. And the same thing in your description, saying like, this is not accelerated at all. Literally in 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how to do this. That's going to help promote a strong call to action. Click through, somebody's going to watch it.
How do you feel about like transcripts or things of that nature? Like, where does that rank in your level of importance for things?
I think that's good, potentially, if you're going to have it, the video embedded back in a blog post on your own site. I don't think you need to transcribe your video on YouTube itself.
You could.
You could.
I don't see why not.
You're right. However,
and the closed captioning, but the closed captioning option is fairly simple to integrate
Right. So,
within YouTube.
A lot of what I'm getting at is people don't often, or always rather, maybe often is too strong, but people don't always watch the videos with the sound on.
Agreed.
Especially in your Facebook feed or whatever you're scrolling.
So two different things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're uploading natively
Yeah.
to Facebook, absolutely, because if you have video shut off to autoplay for sure, and nobody, I don't want you to know that I'm watching a video on Facebook when I'm at work, but I'm going to watch it. I think YouTube, there's an opportunity for it too, and I just even talked about it earlier. We're running, and this isn't the purpose of this podcast is not touting what we do, but we've seen really, really good success with some pre-roll video campaigns that don't have a voiceover.
Right.
There's no voice to it at all. There's music. I could care less if you watch the music or if you hear the music or not. You're getting the main points in more like a motion graphic on the ad in the video. And I can tell you right now that the view rate on that ad is probably 15 to 20% better than if you had, Mr. Voiceover Man talking. So I think there's a lot of value in it, certainly from an advertising perspective. I think natively in Facebook, voiceover for sure. YouTube, I question it. I know that Google doesn't need the transcript to know what the meat of the video is about.
I've seen if you do if in search, if you click on the video tab to show only see video results, a lot of those top results aren't coming from YouTube. It might be a YouTube embedded video on a blog page, but the blog page has been optimized to its fullest, so it takes precedence over the YouTube page itself. And a lot of that is done with all the different, all the SEO best practices, including maybe not a transcription of the blog post, but a summary of the blog post, kind of like we do for ours.
Of the video, you mean?
Yeah. Because I believe the transcription, as far as captioning, is defaulted into YouTube. But as far as
You don't automatically get transcription. You can. It's not. I think
Gotcha.
that's like an option. Like I think you have to request that or add it.
You asked about third-party tools too for optimizing. I don't think there is a third-party tool that would be worth your time. It's using the tools that are available to you.
Right. So what I'm asking is like I'm making a title for a video. Like how do I best optimize that? Because we keep throwing the word around like it's like, oh, we all know how to do that, and yeah, maybe we do, but there's often times where I'm like looking at even a blog post or something, and I'm looking to like figure out what's really the most valuable use of that very small space for a title.
I think Jason's right then on that.
Yeah.
What is it answering? Ask the question in the title.
And I think if you search in Google, see the results, go to YouTube itself and do a search too.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then another little trick, I guess, is, if you can boil down the topic of your video to like one word or a short phrase, go into YouTube, type that word or phrase into the search bar and see what auto-populates. And see
For Google or for YouTube?
for YouTube.
Okay, good.
I mean, Google too.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're optimizing for YouTube,
Agreed.
then look in YouTube and see what auto populates when you start typing that word or phrase into the search box. And then again, going back to what Jason said, see what is popping up for those phrases, and see what you can do better. Also, I'm looking at some search results and looking at the cover photo. So obviously that's not something that's readable by the search engine per se, but it might entice a click if it's a rather than just a still shot from your video that is just like a person with no context, create like a cover image that could be,
For the channel or for the video?
For the video.
Like
Okay.
what shows up as eventually
thumbnail.
becomes the thumbnail.
To add to those searches too, as you're building on that idea, so if you have keyword phrases and themes that you're doing some searching in YouTube, sort that by the most popular and see what videos are the most popular. Go to those channels, go to those videos, and see what are the tactics that they are employing. Why are they rising to the top? Do they have those images? Are the descriptions well filled out? Is the title really descriptive as well? I bet they are. To Ashley's point.
A lot of times I get like clients that will say, I just don't understand why this video is, 1 million views or whatever, and because it doesn't have any of these, some of it is like pop culture or just the nature of social media, which really makes people angry, right? Because everybody wants a freaking viral video of some sort. So there's not a magic formula, but certainly there's a way to attract people to search, to find what they are looking for.
What you're asking about is through organic search, and what you just referenced was that stuff that doesn't happen through search. That organic, that viral element. Something explodes like that, it's not done through search. It's done through social media and word of mouth, and boom, it just kind of takes off.
I would disagree with you because I feel like sometimes, I don't think that's the only reason, I guess. It's not necessarily disagreement. But
view YouTube as potentially as a social media channel too, right? So it could happen that way too.
Yeah,
right?
I think there's a combination of things, I think that's probably another podcast.
You're right. I'm not doing a lot of searches for kids crashing on bikes. That phrase, I'm not going to Google search that, but that kids crashing on bikes is probably one of the top viewed images or videos on YouTube.
So to come full circle, we would certainly suggest optimizing it similarly to you would doing on page. To Ashley's point, go directly to YouTube, do a search, don't hit enter, see what other suggestions are coming up. If you have an existing YouTube channel, you can actually go into and see some really good keyword data in YouTube. It would be your traffic sources and look and do YouTube search report, and you can see the keywords similar to what we look at in AdWords. You can see the phrases that people are actually searching on that give you your ad. The other thing is there's a really great Chrome extension. It's called vidIQ Vision for YouTube. More or less similar to some other extensions, Chrome extensions, let you see kind of a little bit more detail behind, whether it's a content creator or the themes and the keywords that come out of each one of those. So I think that you could take that base level idea of doing a little bit of organic search to the next level and seeing what pops up.
I think also something to just remind is that it's not something that you do sporadically.
No.
You should have a strategy behind what you're trying to achieve.
Totally.
You don't just upload it on the fly and hope for the best and then complain when it doesn't work. And, these are all sort of like normal things that I think we might even take for granted a little bit because we're a little ingrained in that, but that our customers wouldn't necessarily, or our clients wouldn't necessarily totally understand because they're just focused on the video.
And we all want to rank or be relevant for the flavor of the month or the flavor of the day. But you have to realize that, I've gone through my keyword research and my ideation process. I've made my selection. You have to go and do a gut check and say, how many results are coming up for this? How competitive is it? What's the likelihood that I'm a nobody, that I'm the likelihood that I can actually compete for this
and
type of content?
And focus over time, too.
Agreed.
I think that people sometimes give up very quickly. Like, I didn't get 1,000 views within my first 2 weeks of it being uploaded or whatever. I think that that's something that is patience in that space.
I made a joke when I came in this morning. I said, I did an ad workout 2 days in a row. How come I don't have a six-pack yet? It's the same concept.
Precisely.
I think that's really good. Do some searching in YouTube. Do some searching in Google. See what those big how-to keywords are. See what the review keywords are. Tutorials. obviously anything funny is going to be, if it's informative or entertainment value, it's on YouTube, right? I mean, there's more 18 to 49-year-olds that are dialed into various YouTube videos than any other cable channel combined. So.
And DIYers.
Yep. And I think a little bit of effort toward optimizing will go a long way.
Totally.
You don't have to be dialed into necessarily the magical keyword, because I don't believe that there is one.
Right.
It's just getting into some best practices would be really, really good to come up with. So, yeah.
Actually, before you jump in, one final stat I forgot to read, since we're still talking about optimization a little bit, because ours kind of sort of went together. So Google Maps has had 1 billion users who have visited 1.5 billion destinations. They account for 1/3 of all mobile searches, and have grown. That metric has grown 50% faster than overall mobile searches in just the last year.
Dang. All right.
Well, I think I'll maybe save my topic for next time.
Oh, come on,
or
Ashley.
turn it into a blog post.
No, go for it. Give us a teaser.
Lay it out.
Okay.
According to Mashable.
BuzzFeed. I was going for BuzzFeed.
BuzzFeed News is a viable outlet.
Clickbait.
Well, this isn't necessarily hard-hitting news. This is more of one of my little content features, if you will. So I wanted to talk a little about just making your content more readable. So going back to the point you had made earlier, Jason, about having your most important information, near the top for mobile searchers, mobile readers, so that they're getting the information that they're looking for. The quality of the writing is going to also play a part in that. And, nobody is perfect, of course. And there are probably a lot of people who are writing for the web who might not consider themselves like a capital W writer. But there's some tools available to kind of, I want to say optimize, which is not the right word. Edit.
We like tools.
Edit. I'm turning into an SEO. I'm an SEO. My background is writing, so editing was the word that I was looking for. So let's see. So if you are using Yoast's SEO plugin on WordPress, there's a little line that'll come up when it kind of measures the readability of your content. It'll be the Flesch Kincaid readability score. So that's a real thing, and it kind of measures how many syllables are in the words that you're using.
Number of words per sentence.
Exactly. And so there's just all these little elements that can, if you think about making your writing less verbose, breaking down those 4-syllable words into an easier 2-syllable synonym. And so the Yoast SEO plugin will point some of these things out to you. They won't necessarily tell you what you need to fix. They'll just say this is happening. There's another tool that I like to use called Hemingway app. And we'll make sure to link to that in the blog post too. More often than not, I will run a blog post through this tool before publishing it, just as a final proofreading measure. And it will actually highlight the things that it wants you to fix. And with anything, you kind of, again, have to do a gut check. Do I really need to fix this? Or is the tool just telling me this because that's what it's been programmed to do? You still need to approach it as a human and be like, this is how I want to say this. I'm not going to take your suggestion because then it will make even less sense. So anyway, I have a few other things that I'll mention in the show notes here, but all this boils down to quality content, right? The quality of the writing will affect how much time people might want to spend engaging with your content.
Oh, 100% agree, right? I mean, if it's horribly written content, you're either going to glaze over it or you're not going to read it.
Right,
Like, you're just going to back out.
Yep, exactly. So, and, quality content is what Google wants to see from us. And we've talked about the concept of EAT before on the podcast. So that's an acronym that, Google will use to talk about quality content. So it stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And the last thing that you want is your writing style or the quality of the writing to get in the way of delivering this overall perception of you being an expert or being authoritative or you being trustworthy. I know when I land on there's many factors that go into like what might make me consider a website shady, But if the writing is kind of garbled, not really, straightforward, not easy to read, I'm not going to trust it, even if it has really good content.
Mm-hmm.
Does it talk anything in there about keeping it quality, authoritative, readable, while maintaining voice? I might write differently than you would write, or Adrian or Jason writes. We all have our own unique voices, but we might be able to project
So
the
do
same.
brands.
Right.
Yeah.
Might be able to project the same message at the end of the day, but my writing style is going to be very different than the next person's writing style.
Yep.
Is there anything about
touching
on that?
I'm not really referencing any particular article. It was just something that that kind of came up.
Okay, then you're it.
What prompted it was that I did come across a Content Marketing Institute article that I will share. That's on making your content more readable. I think voice. I don't think that there's any wrong way to do it as long as you're being consistent. And that's more of a user experience thing, right? Than like an actual Google is looking for you to have a certain voice.
Yeah, because I don't think that they do. It goes back to a comment that has stuck in my head that Adrian made a while ago on one of the redirects. On it's this concept: does AI recognize brand value? And I don't think it does right now. But that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong in that mind. That I don't believe that. I don't think Google cares whether or not one blog post has the brand on point over another.
And Google might not, but I think what we're sort of tiptoeing around here is that the test for Yoast, which is the readability score, doesn't take into account your brand tone.
Agreed.
It's mostly reading level and do you have too many words in this sentence?
Yep.
And are there too many syllable words in this sentence? And are you using, I think it sort of pings me usually when I look at it if I'm getting
Passive voice
and also using overly technical words that may not fit with the rest of the structure, right? Like to define something or something, it'll grab for that. But
it's no different than
it's working on averages, right?
Yeah, yeah. I poke holes at their keyword. Drop the keyword in here. Well, but I'm going after more than just that. The theme can't be defined by a single keyword.
You have to think about it it's a template. It's a templated response, and it's trying to create a templated solution to something that's kind of more complicated than that, right?
Yep. So definitely going with your gut and using these tools as an editing helper.
For sure.
You can look at these things that are being called out and
certainly if you're beginning, maybe you're just starting writing and you don't know any of this, and those are all really, really helpful.
Yep.
So you certainly kind of landed on almost, or you have some sort of a voice defined before you go into this, right? And these are tools to help you further solidify just the I guess approach with the content, how it's going to be how it's going to be written. So okay.
Yeah, it's not directly going to affect Google's not going to say, "Oh, your writing is terrible. I'm not going to let you surface in a search." What it will come down to is when users do land on your page, are they staying on the page? Are they spending time on the page? Are they leaving the page right away? And then Google will use those signals to kind of decide if your content is worth surfacing. So again, you're not writing for Google, you're writing for the end user.
People.
So
Perfect.
People.
Good. It always comes back to the human being. How quickly we forget that. So, well, good stuff. I think that was. I think that's really great pieces of information. We covered a lot from changes at Google, Google Local Maps. How to optimize YouTube, and which I think we could even go even deeper on that.
I'll include some links to some stuff that I found that.
I think that would be
answer
great.
question, so.
And then write better content. Let's make things a little bit classier. So.
Yeah, Ashley, I'm looking at you.
Keep it classy.
All right, until next time, good luck.
This has been the Redirect Podcast. Check out the show notes at blacktruckmedia.com and add us on iTunes and Stitcher.